Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a good day today. Um, I wanted to just make this quick video, this little rant, whatever you want to call it. As you all have pretty much seen the title of this video, viewer discretion is advised. So we all know the NPR video, shot to NPR, with Naphessa Collier, the sit down where she let the cat out of the bag. It's basically going over a couple things. Basically, the infamous ether, where she admitted that basically calling out Kathy in the WNBA was a little dramatic. But one particular part of the interview where she talked about the physicality. And I'm going to read you a quote that she said. And most people have said it, and I quote, "I do feel like the game is too physical right now," Collier said. I think that there's been a complaint of players and coaches alike for the past several years. We've been compared to the NBA of the 80s in our physicality. I do think that hinders the players. You come to watch the players play offense and to score. So when it's physical, the game is not as fun to watch and it's not fun to play. Okay, let's break that down a little bit. Naphessa, your team is 2 years removed from losing to the New York Liberty in the WNBA Finals. The same team that has benefited from being very extremely physical. That is a fact. Please tell me what player or coach that has said, "Yeah, our league is like the 80s of the NBA of the 80s." What player or coach has said that? If anything, the officiating, everybody is in agreement that the officiating has been egregiously inconsistent. That is something that we could agree on. That is something that we all know has to be fixed. That can't be disputed. That's where I will agree with you on. But where we will part ways is when you say physicality of the 80s of the NBA. That's false, because if we're going to go down that road, maybe last year when you played Phoenix, your now former teammate Alana Smith, bulldozed Monique Okana Makani over like she was like she was a rag doll. I mean, let's go to Unrivaled, the league that you and your husband co-founded. The league that you said that you know how to run a business about. You're talking about make sure ensuring player safety. Several players that have played for Unrivaled: Dejanay Carrington, Chelsea Gray, Shakira Austin, Angel Reese, Brittany Sykes, Marina Mabry. I need to go further. Aaliyah Edwards. Last year, I damn near how almost, I thought for a second, damn near had her neck broken coming down the lane and was hacked into the rim and was should have been a foul called, but nothing happened. Unrivaled, if not, is just as if worse physical than the WNBA. But one thing I don't understand is I don't come just to watch the offensive side of the ball. I come to watch both sides of the ball. Defense wins championships. You are a defensive player of the year. Let's also, I'm using another example, because since you're talking about people come to watch people score. When you were in the Olympics, respectfully saying this, how did those last couple minutes offensively look for the United States against France? Because if I remember correctly, we had to buckle down as a defensive unit, and your coach didn't have you on the floor. And if we're talking about offense, I'll go back to the WNBA Finals where your team lost. Courtney Williams got you to that game where she literally had nothing in the tank the next game. And in overtime, you guys had no answers. And again, the officiating was egregious. I'm sorry to say this, but Naphessa is coming across as a bag of sour grapes. I get it. Last year, FIFA MVP, Defensive player of the year. She could have got 50, 40, 90. But this is this takes the cake because I don't know who is behind this push of trying to make the league less physical and other things like that. But that's going to hurt views because if you look at the WNBA from a fundamental perspective is something that is really is what is truly valued about the game, and Fee wants to go away from that. I mean, anything and anything in her power just to figure out a way to make the game easy for her. Because if that's the case, like I watched Jack was it Jewel Lloyd damn near get her head stomped against Japan. Was nothing was called on that. I could be wrong. I gotta go back and look at the footage. But this was just in the preseason game about a week ago. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I just disagreed with that. And then also too, like you look at Diana Taurasi, 10,000 points scored in the WNBA. Asia Wilson scored 1,000 points in a season. No other WNBA player, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, no one's done. Lisa Leslie, no one's done that. Jewel Lloyd, multi-scoring champion, and you're talking about more offense. And I've seen teams put up 80 points, maybe 90 points a night. I, like, no, I'm sorry. And this is somebody, really quick, I had to bring it up. She averaged 22 points a game. But, again, she literally had the highest percentage of free throws, 90. That was 20% of her scoring from the free throw line. And again, your team has benefited from being the most physical. And just for the record, that play against the play where she got hurt in the playoffs, that was not a foul. Again, we are on the green side. There needs to be the officiating needs to be consistent, but to make the game less physical, what are we doing? And on top of that, correct me if I'm wrong, the number one overall pick from this recent draft, AZ Fudd, literally, I'm just verbatim, literally said, well, apparently I can't touch a player without it being called a foul. That's not comparing the league to the NBA of the 1980s. That's calling out the officiating. So what are we doing? So what? Like, I just wanted to get that off my chest because I do think that there is I understand in the interview she did say that they're not protecting their players, but also at the same time, well, your league's not doing. You being the co-owner of Unrivaled, you're not doing that. And on top of that, she still believes that with Unrivaled, she still believes that it can still compete with the W even with this new CBA. I'm a little confused by that, even though everyone just got a nice pay bump. And last year, what I saw compared to season one, I don't see what's going to be different. Because there were some players, I'm not going to say names. Some people may know what I'm talking about. That said, and I quote, "We don't need the W. We have Unrivaled." But I just wanted to come on here and give my thoughts on the quote on the video. Again, check out NPR. If you haven't seen the video, I encourage you to watch it. But I'm sorry, Naphessa was that was just a wild statement to make. I know that's just part of her state of the statement of the question that was asked, but like for somebody whose team has benefited from physicality, and on top of that, your coach who had you out there on the first injury when your coach had you out there on a double digit lead in the beginning of the year, that makes no sense. And then obviously y'all didn't have enough in the tank to beat New York in overtime in the finals, and then to lose to Phoenix. It does come across as a bag of sour grapes. Sorry to say that. That's just being honest. Like Asia Wilson, Stewie, you don't see them when they've lost. They they go strictly to fishing. They put their heads down and go right to work. That's what makes it. That's what separates the good players from the great players. But y'all let me know your thoughts. Peace out.